Okay, I have turned on my YouTube and it's broadcasting there. Somebody wants to watch it, they can tie into mine. I'll leave it up for a few weeks after this if anybody wants to watch it after. So we're live on YouTube. We're in open court. We are hearing cause number 321214 in the 146th District Court of Bell County, Texas, in the interest of Ezekiel Vasquez. Is the state ready to proceed? Have I lost Miss Parker? Yep, gonna readmit her. Ms. Parker, I'm sorry we lost you. I have called the case. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Cortez, you ready to proceed?
Your Honor, I have not been able to get in touch with my client, and so I have to announce that I am not ready.
I understand, but your client has been given notice, as I understand it, this hearing. And your client simply has not contacted you. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Bibas, are you ready to proceed?
Your Honor, I have a similar announcement. I have had no contact with my client. Just my announcement would be not ready, but I understand if the court needs to proceed.
Thank you very much. I understand that y'all are both in a difficult position, Ms. Bibas and Ms. Cortez, because your clients are not cooperating with you. The court's in a somewhat difficult proceeding also because the clients don't appear to be working their service program and cooperating with the courts or the department. However, we're here in the interest of the child. We must proceed at this point in time. And if the parents choose to absence themselves, that will not be sufficient reason for the court to continue this matter. Mr. Potts, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Thank you very much. Ms. Parker, you may call your first witnesses or offer your exhibits.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do offer petitioners exhibits 1 through 7 that were previously emailed to the attorneys.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
No objection.
Thank you. Ms. Bibas, do you have any objection to the exhibits?
Sure, Your Honor.
1 through 7, petitioners 1 through 7 are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Monica Salazar.
Ms. Salazar, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you please state your name for the court?
Monica Salazar?
And you are the conservatorship worker assigned to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with all the facts and parties?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we took temporary managing conservator of the children on November 23rd of 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's one child in this cause?
Yes.
How old is the child?
He is 1.
And who is his mother and father?
Sakina Finney and Ezekiel Vasquez Sr.
Okay. And the father has previously acknowledged that he is the father of this child. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, shortly before we began the case in October 2019, the father was arrested for assaulting the mother. Is that right?
Yes.
And that case is still pending?
Yes, from what I understand.
But family service plans were created for both the mother and the father in this case. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Speaking with the mother, has she started any service listed on her family service plan?
No, ma'am.
Has she kept in contact with you?
No, ma'am.
When was the last contact you had with the mother?
I would say at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Have you attempted?
2021.
Have you attempted to contact the mother?
Yes, ma'am. I've gone to the residence and was told that she has moved, but there's not a forwarding address.
When's the last contact the mother had with this child?
Since removal?
And that's the last time she saw her child was when the department removed him?
Correct.
Has the mother sent any type of child support, gift, or letters, or anything else to support her child during the pendency of this case?
She has. She has provided some child support. And according to the grandmother, she has dropped off diapers and wipes and clothing items. Not every month, but she has provided some.
So, has she drug tested for the department?
She had at the beginning, but then stopped. Well, let me take that back to me to make sure. I know that initially she said that she had COVID and she had to provide a negative drug test. The last one she took was December 28, 2020.
Okay. Has she ever been positive on a drug test?
Yes, ma'am. On December 3rd, 2020.
And what was she positive for?
Marijuana.
But she has not drug tested since then?
No, ma'am.
Has the mother demonstrated an ability to provide a safe environment for this child?
No, ma'am, she has not.
Moving on to the father, Mr. Vasquez, has he started any service listed on his family service plan?
No, ma'am.
Has he kept in contact with you?
I have not spoke to him since this case opened.
Okay. Have you tried to initiate contact with him?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And how did you do that?
I've gone to the home, I've called the phone number that I had, and I've also reached out to his parents.
When's the last time he's seen the child in this case?
Since this case opened.
Okay. And has he provided any type of support for his child during the pendency of this case?
No, ma'am.
Has he drug tested for the department?
The last drug test was December 28, 2020.
Okay. And has he been positive on any drug test for the department?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was he positive for?
Marijuana.
And has he demonstrated an ability to provide a safe, suitable environment for this child?
No, ma'am.
Where is the child placed?
He is placed with the maternal grandmother, Miss Johnson,
And how long has he been there?
since removal.
And Miss Johnson has an approved home study, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is she meeting all of his emotional, physical needs?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this a safe, suitable home for this child?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen this child with his maternal grandmother?
Yes, I have.
Do they appear bonded?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any concerns with this placement?
No, ma'am.
And this placement is requesting PMC through the PCA program, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the department's recommendation today?
To grant the caregiver as permanent managing conservator through the PCA program.
Does the department have an opinion on whether the parent should have any designation?
No designation. They have not done any services or shown that they are interested in being a part of their child's life.
Okay. Does the department have a recommendation on what type of visitation schedule the court should order for the parents?
The discretion of the caregiver. Obviously, we want supervised.
And do you believe this is in the best interest of the child?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Salazar. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
You have any questions, Ms. Bibas?
Yes, Your Honor. So grandma knows where mom is.
She doesn't know the address. She just knows the whereabouts of the location of where they're staying.
And you mentioned earlier that mom stopped by to drop off diapers and wipes.
She has reported to drop off items at the door. Yes, ma'am.
So in your opinion, will mom be visiting this child?
I don't know. The grandmother has custody of mom's other child, and she has not really had much contact with him as well.
Are you asking mom to be ordered to pay child support
Yes, ma'am.
and just visitation at the discretion of the caregiver?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware if mom's ever been employed throughout this case?
From what I was told, she was employed for most of this case. working at home.
Working at home, can you kind of elaborate on that?
Like a telecommunication working from home. At the very beginning of the case, she reported that's what she was working.
And we don't know what company that would be for.
I don't recall.
So at this time, you haven't had contact with mom and give or take 10 months, 11 months?
It's been quite a while. She did pay some child support. I want to say a couple of months ago.
That's all I have, Your Honor. I'll pass witness.
Thank you. Ms. Cortez?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Similarly, Ms. Salazar, do you know if the maternal grandmother has had any contact with the father in this case, Mr. Vasquez?
No, ma'am.
You don't know?
No, there's not been any contact from what she's told me. She's not had contact with the father.
Okay. And now you said that the maternal grandmother knows the location of where the mother lives, but not the address. What is the location?
I honestly, it's the area of where she said that they have used to live, that the grandmother used to live, but she doesn't have an actual home address. She just knows of the area.
What is the area?
I don't recall where she said it was. It's somewhere in Colleen.
So, okay, somewhere in Colleen. When did she notify you of that?
I found out that they had moved their residence, I want to say in September. And I had contacted Miss Johnson as well as the paternal grandparents to ask if they knew of where the parents were residing. And both set of the grandparents stated that they only knew of an area, but they didn't have an actual address for the parents. The parents did not provide that to them.
So you also spoke to Mr. Vasquez's parents, the paternal
Yes,
grandparents?
ma'am, I did. Yes,
And
ma'am.
do you remember when that conversation was held?
When I found out that they had moved in
When was
September,
that?
at the end of
Okay.
September.
September of this
2021.
year. All right. So that's when you found out that they were living somewhere in Colleen?
Yes.
Okay, so when you say area, Colleen is a large city. So what area?
It was a subdivision. I don't recall which subdivision area of where it was. I apologize.
Did you write it down in your notes?
I did not write it down. I was driving when I had
Okay.
spoke to both parents after I left the residence of where the parents used to live, and I had contacted them. And then I believe Miss Johnson had sent me a text message stating that they had moved, but I don't recall what area she said it was. She just knew it was in Colleen. She could maybe give more detailed information on that.
Okay, now the actual location where you visited the parents and found out that they had moved, was
Yes,
that
ma'am.
on Rancier Avenue?
I believe so. I believe it was an apartment complex that was, I think it was off of Rancier.
Was it the exact same place that they had received service of process at the beginning of this case?
Yes, that's where that's where they had been residing for quite some time.
Okay. And so you went there and someone there told you that they had
No.
moved?
I had went there on a weekend, left my card on the door. I went another, I think 2 weeks later, and my card was still on the door with some more mail that had been left on the door. I went to the office of the apartment complex. They reported they could not tell me whether they continued to reside there or not at that time. I contacted Miss Johnson and I contacted the paternal grandparents to ask. Neither one were aware at that time, but then Miss Johnson did contact me back and let me know that she did get in touch with her daughter and that they had moved.
So she had a way of getting in touch with her daughter.
We have a phone number. She just does not answer.
Okay. All right. And then when you had the conversation with Mr. Vasquez's parents, was it after you found out that Miss Johnson had contacted her daughter?
No, I contacted them at the same day.
Okay. All right. All right. And then you wrote the permanency report that's been admitted into evidence, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in October that you wrote it?
Yes,
Has anything changed since then?
just more missing drug tests.
Okay.
Still no communication with the parents. The baby is now 1. He turned 1 this month.
Okay. Any other changes to that report?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of.
All right. In that report, you indicated that Mr. Vasquez would impose an immediate risk to the child's physical health and safety. If you don't know where he is and you haven't seen him or spoken with him in many, many months, how do you know that he would impose an immediate risk to the child's physical health and
Well,
safety?
Mr. Vasquez has history of harming a child, which was Miss Finney's other child, Israel, who is actually placed with Miss Johnson as well.
Okay. And has he ever been charged criminally?
I don't know if it was criminally. I know he was reason to believe for the physical abuse of Israel.
Okay, but that was the department's own policies to determine reason to believe, but you don't know of any criminal case pending against Mr. Vasquez in connection with any of his children, do you?
No.
Okay. And then in your report, you also wrote that he will not be able to provide a stable home, food, and clothing. How do you know that he can't provide food and clothing if you don't know where he works or you haven't spoken to him or know anything about him?
Well, from what I understand, Mr. Vasquez has not always been employed. According to his parents, have also reported that he is not employed. He has not been able to show the department that he even has a home because he does not make contact with the department for us to look and see if it's a suitable home. Mr. Vasquez his responsibility is to make sure that he maintains contact with the department and completes his services in order to show that he can provide a safe, suitable home. He also is supposed to be drug testing to show that he is, drug free. However, Mr. Vasquez has not done so throughout this entire case.
Okay, so that's the basis for your statement, but you don't actually know that for a fact because you haven't spoken to him in a long time. Right?
I'm not spoken to him this entire case.
Okay. And then you stated in your report that his inability to provide a stable home, food, and clothing could result in Ezekiel being homeless. And is that because you think Mr. Vasquez is homeless?
I don't know where Mr. Vasquez resides. He has not provided me an address to see where he does reside.
Okay, but other than the paternal grandparent and the maternal grandparent telling you the area or the location within Killeen, you don't know if that is on the street? Is that right?
I don't know. It could be under a bridge. I have no idea until I have an actual address to verify where he resides. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then, but you're asking for minimum wage child support in your report. Is that still what you're asking for, even if Mr. Vasquez might be homeless and living under a bridge?
If he's able to feed himself, I think he has a responsibility to feed his own child and provide for his own child that he has brought into the world. Yes, he should pay.
All right. Now, you earlier stated that you thought that Mr. Vasquez and the mother of the child should have supervised visitation. Do you still think that they should have supervised visitation? Is that the department's recommendation?
Honestly, they have not shown that they can do anything for this child. If it wasn't for a relative, they would get no contact. But definitely if they are going to have contact, it has to be supervised.
And you mentioned that the maternal grandmother, Miss Johnson, has one other child that belongs to the mother in this case. That's also Mr. Vasquez's child, right?
No, ma'am. His child, Sarai, was adopted by his parents.
Okay, so there are two children besides the child that's the subject of this case, right? There's Sahira and Israel.
Yes.
And are those both children with Miss Johnson?
No.
No,
Who is with
The-
Miss Johnson?
Israel is with Miss Johnson, and at this time also Ezekiel. Sakurai is with Mr. Vasquez's parents. They've been adopted. She's been adopted by them, so his rights were terminated in regard to that child.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Mr. Vasquez, from the history of the record that the court has and the evidence that's been admitted so far, has not shown any interest in any of these children. I agree with you that the report draws conclusions that there are not facts in there that would support some of those conclusions, but they're reasonable conclusions based on the fact that Mr. Vasquez has not come forward and offered anything else, nor has he given you anything to offer, bless your heart, in his behalf. However, the department's not seeking termination at this point in time, and is simply seeking placement and permanent managing conservatorship. And Ms. Johnson has indicated that she has a hope that the parents will someday step up to their responsibilities and become responsible. And I think that's wonderful that she hopes that. And I hope they will too, but I think in reality, she needs to anticipate that she may raise these children to adulthood. And I think she understands that also. The department's asking that I order child support. The court's inclined to do so with both parents, assuming that they're capable of working. And should it ever come to the point that we have to have a hearing on that, or some judge does, they can offer any defenses that would disqualify them from being, or excuse them from being responsible for minimum wage child support, but we have no evidence to indicate that they're not capable of working. So anyway, any other questions, Ms. Cortez?
Only briefly, Your Honor.
Go
Just
ahead.
a couple more questions.
I'm sorry, but I'm running 2 court dockets
Yes.
today, and I was supposed to start another court 20 minutes ago. So
Yes, Your Honor.
let's go ahead and move on.
I'll make it brief, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ms. Salazar, just very briefly, do you believe that Ms. Johnson would be capable of deciding whether or not any visits by Mr. Vasquez would need to be supervised or not? Do you
Yes,
think
ma'am.
she's capable of doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. I have nothing further. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Potts, do you have any question?
Normally I would, Your Honor, but I believe I know where this is headed, and I'll pass.
Thank you very much. Does the ad litem need to add anything in today? Ms. Rojas?
Judge, I'm in agreement with the department's plan that the parents have been they just haven't been there. They've ghosted the child.
Yeah. They obviously have issues that they need work with, but if they're not willing to come to us to help them get work, we can't run a service plan and help them. And whatever those issues are, I hope they get them resolved. Does the state have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I rest.
Ms. Cortez, do you have any witnesses?
No evidence, Your Honor. I rest.
Thank you. Ms. Bibas, do you have any witnesses or evidence?
No evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Potts, do you have anything that you need to present?
No, Your Honor, I would request the court order that each parent to pay minimum wage child support. I think
Thank
it's
you.
unlikely we'll get it, but I would like to have that in the order.
All matters that the court then, all sides rest and close. All matters that the department has recommended to the court will be granted at this point in time. Ms. Yannette Johnson will be named managing conservator of Ezekiel, and she will have discretion to determine visitation and the necessity of supervision. Obviously, the court has concerns. The parents have some drug issues since they refused to test. And I wouldn't want them visiting the children without supervision. The mother has shown some interest in the child and some responsibility for the child, and I think that's worthwhile. So whatever contact that they can have with their mom would be helpful. And if their father steps up and wants to show responsibility, then whatever contact that they can have with him may be helpful, but I think at this point in time would probably need to be supervised. So, but I will allow that to the discretion of Ms. Johnson as managing conservator. I'll order that the parents each pay child support, and I will not give them any further designations in regard to this hearing. Is there anything else, Ms. Parker?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Will that be minimum wage child support, $224 a month, Your Honor?
That's correct. We'll assume they can make minimum wage. It's minimum wage at this time. If it ever goes up, which it might, they won't automatically increase. I guess the Attorney General can take care of that. But we'll order minimum wage based on minimum wage at today's rate.
When do you want the child support to begin, Your Honor?
Oh, why don't we set it for December 1st?
Yes, Your Honor.
Think you can get the order to me before then?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's amazing because that's only Wednesday.
I think it has to be done for PCA purposes. Yeah.
Okay,
So
that
I will
means-
have it to you by tomorrow.
Okay, that means someone needs to rattle my cage if I haven't got it signed tomorrow. Okay?
Yes, sir. Make sure Ms.
so,
Parker knows the other one.
Yes, I understand. Cindy will rattle my cage because Wednesday I'm going to be traveling and will not be close to my computer at all. And all that. Y'all have a blessed day, a wonderful end of this month, and a wonderful beginning of the Christmas season.
Excuse me, will the ad items be dismissed, Your Honor?
Everyone is dismissed from this case, and if the parents want an appellate attorney, then they can certainly approach the court, and we will see that appellate attorney is appointed after final order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good luck. Good luck,
Thank you,
Ms.
Honor.
Johnson.